I want to talk about the Tyreek Hill situation of the Miami Dolphins. I want to talk about the Tyreek Hill of the Miami Dolphins situation. I wasn't aware of what happened until this morning. I got some text messages yesterday. Obviously, I was interviewing with my brother, Nick Cannon, so I wasn't aware of what was taking place, but I want to talk about this. First of all, brothers and sisters, especially to my American African family, I already told you that we're about to go through a triple ancestral eclipse and a Pluto return in Aquarius. I told you revolution was coming. I told you that there will be an intensification of conflict and drama over the next 200 years. I told you the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, we had the American Revolution, the French Revolution, and the Great Haitian Revolution. What we saw with Tyreek Hill was a snapshot of things to come. What we saw with Tyreek Hill was a snapshot of things to come. What we saw with Tyreek Hill was a snapshot of things to come. But I want to go a step further, and I want to go a level deeper. I want to go a step further, and I want to go a level deeper. I want to go a step further, and I want to go a level deeper on this Tyreek Hill situation. I want to talk about the elephant in the room that no one is discussing. I want to talk about the elephant in the room that no one is discussing. I want to talk about the elephant in the room that no one is discussing. So Tyreek Hill is on his way to the Hard Rock Cafe Stadium for the Miami Dolphins football game. It's football Sunday. He's on his way. 3 hours before game time, he gets pulled over by Miami's finest. Now, he was a little argumentative. He was. He was a little arrogant. He was. But here's the situation. If Tyreek Hill was a Caucasian, does he get pulled out of his car? Because I see a lot of the Neanderthal Nation in the chat. I see the Neanderthal Nation in the chat saying things like Tyreek Hill caused this. This is what Neanderthal Nation is saying. Neanderthal Nation is saying Tyreek Hill caused this. So my question to the Neanderthals in the chat, if Tyreek Hill was a Caucasian, does he get treated the same way even if he did what he did? If Tyreek Hill was Tom Brady, if Tyreek Hill was Dan Marino, if Dan Marino reacted to the police the same way that Tyreek Hill did, does he get pulled out of the car? I think we all know the answer to that question. I think we all know the answer to that question. Without question, there is a double standard in the police treatment of black people vis-a-vis everyone else, especially white folks. Especially white folks. Now, if they need to pull Tyreek Hill out the car and arrest him for refusing to comply with officer directions, then put him in handcuffs, put him in a paddy wagon. He's off to the station. He gets booked. But that's not what happened. That's not what happened. Okay, you had to get him out the car and handcuff him for not following police orders. So be it. Handcuff him and take him to the station. Why was it necessary to force him to the ground? Why was it necessary to force him to the ground? Why was it necessary to lay him on his stomach on that hot ass Miami sidewalk concrete? Why was it necessary to lay Tyreek down on his stomach on that hot ass Miami concrete? Why was it necessary to put a knee in Tyreek Hill's back? He was already handcuffed. He wasn't kicking anybody with his legs. He yelled out and told you, I just got surgery on my knee. And y'all still proceeded to force him down to the ground, hoping y'all would re-injure his knee. I'm going to come to the elephant in the room in just a minute. I'm going to come to the elephant in the room just a minute. So you force him down first on his bottom, then you force him on his stomach, and then you put a knee in his back. If he was Caucasian, he don't even get removed from the car. If he was Caucasian, he don't even get removed from the car. If he was Caucasian, he don't even get removed from the car. And then when his teammates roll up, when Tyreek Hill's teammates roll up, y'all get nasty, disrespectful. Y'all forbid them from exercising their constitutional right to observe officers carrying out their duty. You cannot force them to get in their car and drive away. That was illegal. You cannot force them to get in their car and drive away. That was illegal. They have a right to observe police carrying out their duty, but you were so arrogant, so privileged, so used to treating black men like animals, you felt you could force them out. And when they didn't want to get in their car and drive away, you proceeded to arrest them as well. Tyreek asked the question. Tyreek Hill asked the question. He said, what if I wasn't Tyreek Hill? He said, what if I wasn't Tyreek Hill? He said, what if I wasn't Tyreek Hill? We all know the answer to that question, don't we? We saw the officers when they registered his driver's license and his name popped up. And one of the officers told the other officer, he's one of the star players of the Miami Dolphins. Did y'all see that part? That's when the energy began to shift. He said he's one of the star players of the Miami Dolphins. Did y'all see that part? That's when the energy began to shift. Now, you all know, like I know, no black man who gets handcuffed 3 hours before the football game is going to be released from custody before the game. So we know the white power structure picked up a phone and made a phone call. We know that the general manager of the Miami Dolphins picked up the phone and made a phone call. We know that the owner of the Miami Dolphins picked up the phone and made a phone call. Because Tyreek Hill is one of the top football players in the league, arguably the best. And he plays for the NFL slave plantation. He is a prized possession of the NFL corporate slave plantation. And him not showing up to the game will cause a whole lot of fans of the Miami Dolphins to want their money back. They came for Tyreek Hill. He's the one selling out them games in Miami. If he was not a prized possession of the NFL corporate plantation, we all know what could have happened. But the bigger issue that nobody's talking about, is how they treated Tyreek Hill and his teammates, is how they treat black men every day in Miami. Shout out to my Miami alpha males. Shout out to my Hollywood, Florida alpha males. Shout out to my Fort Lauderdale and my West Palm Beach alpha males. Black men in South Florida go through that every day. Black men across America go through that every day. But can I get to the elephant in the room? And y'all know where I'm about to go. Let me get to the elephant in the room. And y'all know where I'm about to go. They were not brutalized by white police. They were not brutalized by Irish officers. They were not brutalized by Italian officers. They were not brutalized by British officers or French or Swedish American officers or Austrian or German officers. They were brutalized by Latino officers. I want my Kamala Harris crash out dummies to listen to me real close. I want my Donald Trump crash out dummies to listen to me really close. I want DL Hughley to listen to me really close. I want Steve Harvey to listen to me really close. I want Ricky Smiley to listen to me really close. All the Democratic Party plantation slave crash dummies and all the Republican Party plantation slave crash dummies, I want you to tune in right now. I want every American African to understand, overstand, and understand where I'm going right now. I want every American African to understand, overstand, and understand where I'm going right now. I want every American African to understand, overstand, and understand where I'm going. For 400 years, we have only had to worry about police brutality from Caucasians and Negropeans. For 400 years, we have only had to deal with police brutality from Caucasians and their Negropean counterparts for 400 years. But under Vice President Kamala Harris, and we've already seen this in Illinois. Where my Illinois Africans at? Where my Chicago Africans, my Illinois Africans at? Because the governor of Illinois not too long ago signed legislations to allow migrants to become police officers. The governor of Illinois signed legislation to allow the migrants to become police officers. So what you saw with Tyreek Hill in the Miami-Dade Latino police, what you saw with Tyreek Hill in the Miami-Dade Latino police was a snapshot of what you're going to see all across Black America, where we are being gentrified by the migrants. The migrants are now going to be carrying out police brutality against Africans for the white power structure. I said the Latinos are going to be carrying out police brutality for the white power structures. I said the Latinos are going to be carrying out police brutality on behalf of the white power structure. Now, for my African Latinos, you are a part of the family. I'm not talking to you. For my African identifying Latinos, you are part of the family. I'm not talking to you. For my African Latinos, my Latino Africans, you are part of the family. I'm not talking to you. But for the anti-African Latinos, who make up the majority of American Latinos, let us be honest. Most Latinos in this country are anti-African. So we're going to stop that people of color nonsense right now. We're going to stop that black and brown nonsense right now. What you saw with Tyreek Hill is a taste test. When Kamala Harris intensifies the immigration movement, when she brings more brown people into America to oppress black people, you're going to see more brown on black police oppression. Get ready. If Kamala becomes president, you're going to see more brown police. And as you saw with Tyreek Hill, they will treat black people the same way as white people treat black people. Y'all talking about vote for Kamala Harris. Vote for Kamala Harris. You out of your damn mind. Those Latinos were racist as hell against Tyreek and his teammates. And y'all want me to go and vote for Kamala Harris. She's going to bring more brown people to America to take your jobs in your neighborhoods and to oppress you through the police force. It's one thing to be mistreated by white folks. It's one thing to be mistreated by white folks. But now the white folks are going to weaponize the immigrants to mistreat you too. Now the white folks are going to weaponize the immigrants to mistreat you too. That Tyreek Hill situation was a snapshot of the future. Black America, all you Democratic Party plantation slave crash out dummies, please watch the Tyreek Hill video again. That's what you're voting for when you vote for Kamala Harris. Latinos are now going to be killing black people in the name of the law. Latinos now are going to be throwing our children on the ground in the name of the law. And Donald Trump is no better. And I'm sick and tired of you Democratic Party plantation slaves bringing up Donald Trump's name whenever we want to hold the Democratic Party responsible for not doing anything for black people in 92 years. In 92 years. In 92 years. I'm sick and tired of you Democratic plantation crash dummies. What about Donald Trump? D.L. Hughley ain't pushing Donald Trump. Roland Martin ain't pushing Donald Trump. Steve Harvey isn't pushing Donald Trump. The NAACP isn't pushing Donald Trump. The Black Church isn't pushing Donald Trump. The Divine Nine isn't pushing Donald Trump. They're pushing Kamala Harris. They're pushing Kamala Harris. And since they're pushing them down our throat, I have an obligation to resist. I have an obligation to resist the propaganda of the gatekeeping slave army of the Democratic Party plantation. Oh yes, Latino racism against African people. You saw it. You saw it. Tyreek Hill, you saw it, but nobody's talking about that. If you notice, the Democratic Party plantation slaves, they will not mention that this was Latino on black oppression. They will not mention this was brown people mistreating black people. They can't bring it up because that's the Democratic Party agenda, to replace black people with immigrants. So nobody's going to talk about the fact that this was Latino police brutality. Nobody's going to talk about the fact that this was Latino police brutality. Nobody's going to talk about the fact that this was Latino police brutality. They're going to ignore that because that will expose Kamala Harris. But Donald Trump is exposed as well. Donald Trump is exposed as well because he's not going to do anything about it either. Vote for what? Which one of them are going to deal with police brutality? Neither one of them. Vote for what is what I am saying. That's the question, brothers and sisters. That's the question that we got to talk about. I wonder if Kamala Harris or Donald Trump are going to comment on the Tyreek Hill situation, because neither one of them plan to hold police accountable. They could care less about dead black people. Kamala Harris was a district attorney. She could care less. She was the top cop right here in California. Kamala Harris was the top cop right here in California, and she didn't reform any type of police brutality. She didn't reform any kind of police brutality. Nothing at all, brothers and sisters. We are on our own. The only question is, how long will it take for us to wake up and understand that the American African is on his own? We are on our own. And then you see all these white people acting so sympathetic. You see these Caucasians, Neanderthal nation, trying to act so sympathetic. They don't care about us. We get killed every day. They don't care about us, but they care about their investment, which is Tyreek Hill. They only care about their investment in Tyreek Hill. Let me move on to something else. Let me move on to something else. For all you hip hop ghetto gangster rappers, for all you hip hop gangster rappers who got a problem with Dr. Umar saying Eminem cannot be the GOAT because he's not African, for all you hip hop gangster rappers who got a problem with Dr. Umar saying Khalid cannot be the best DJ because he's an Arab, for all you ghetto gangster rappers who got a problem with me trying to gatekeep black culture, for all you hip hop ghetto gangster rappers who got a problem with me trying to gatekeep black culture from the appropriation of non-African people, let me tell you what the Caucasians just did to our sister Beyonce Knowles Carter. Let me tell you what the Caucasians just did to our beautiful African sister, Beyonce Knowles Carter. I just got the notification. The ancestors are working through Ifa Tunde. Listen to this. Beyonce receives 0 nominations for her country album after being booed on stage several years ago at the Country Music Awards. Did y'all hear what I just said? Beyonce received 0 nominations. They are gatekeeping country music away from Africans. They are gatekeeping country music away from Africans. They are gatekeeping country music away from Africans. Let me read. The nominations for the 58th Country Music Association Awards were just announced, and fans are shocked after Beyonce's iconic country album, Cowboy Carter, dropped this past spring. Music fans of all different genres came together to celebrate Texas Hold'em and others from her album. However, the Country Music Association seemingly wasn't impressed and awarded Cowboy Carter a whooping 0 nominations. While Morgan Wallen boasts a cool 7 nominations, Cody Johnson and Chris Stapleton each received 5 nominations, and rising star Lainey Wilson, new to the country scene, Post Malone, each were nominated for different awards. Beyonce received 0 nominations, despite her song Texas Hold'em reaching #1 on Billboard's Hot Country Songs chart. So let me get this right. Let me get this right. Beyonce had the #1 country music song on the Billboard. Beyonce had the #1 country music song on the Billboard. Beyonce had the #1 country music song on the Billboard and got 0 nominations for the Country Music Awards. And y'all mad at me for saying Eminem ain't no goat in my culture. Y'all mad at me for saying DJ Khaled ain't no damn goat in my culture. And here you got white people gatekeeping Beyonce out of the country music scene. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Understand, overstand, and understand. I only come to you with the truth. I only come to you with the truth. This isn't the first time Beyonce has received a cool welcome from the country music world. Back in 2016, her song Daddy Lessons she performed was, Back in 2016, she performed Daddy Lessons and was immediately the recipient of online backlash. They don't want no black people taking over their music, but they love to take over your culture. Don't you find it real interesting? Caucasians don't want you taking over their culture, but they love to appropriate your culture. And this is why when you see white people marrying black women in Africa, wearing our African clothing, our Nigerian clothing, wearing our Ghanaian clothing, our Cameroonian clothing, our Togolese and Benin and Liberian, Zambian, Gambian, Congolese, South African clothing, y'all think it's funny. Y'all think it's funny when the white folks dress up like black people and want to appropriate your African culture. They want to eat your food. They want to make rap music. They want to dress like black people. They want to blast your songs out of their car. They are disrespecting you to your face. They are disrespecting you to your face. Go and try to appropriate Jewish culture and see what happens. Go and try to appropriate Chinese culture and see what happens. Go and try to appropriate Irish culture and see what happens. Go and try to appropriate Arab culture and see what happens. You can't do it. Everybody appropriates black culture. And we roll out the red carpet. We roll out the red carpet for Eminem. We roll out the red carpet for DJ Culture Vulture Vlad. We roll out the red carpet for DJ Khaled. We roll out the red carpet for all these non-Africans to come and exploit us, but you can't do it to them. I ain't heard nobody criticize the Country Music Association. I haven't heard anyone criticize the Country Music Association. I haven't heard anybody criticize the Country Music Association. Brothers and sisters, I didn't invent racism, I expose it. I didn't invent racism, I expose it. And to my knowledge, Kamala Harris hasn't sat down with a full featured interview with a single black journalist. Am I wrong or am I right, brothers and sisters? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me if I am wrong. Has Vice President Harris sat down for a full feature interview with a black journalist yet? Can somebody please correct me if I'm wrong? Can somebody please correct me if I'm wrong? She's telling you to vote for her. She got these celebrity Negro-peans telling you to vote for her. Has she interviewed with a single black journalist yet? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Black America is going to have to get ready to start experiencing racism at the hands of people of color. Don't call yourself a person of color. Stop using people of color. Use black. Use African. Use American African. Use African American. But don't you use people of color. Don't you use it. That will be the new weapon against African people. They're going to say, people of color don't believe y'all deserve reparations. People of color don't think America is racist. People of color think black people complain too much. People of color are your enemies. They are the new go-between. People of color are the new gatekeepers for the white power structure. Who do we vote for? The question isn't who do you vote for, my beautiful African sister. The question isn't who do you vote for, my beautiful African sister. The question is, what are you voting for? Not who do you vote for. That's the wrong question. What are you voting for? Stop asking who do you vote for. This is not about personalities. This is about policy. Not who do you vote for. What are you voting for? Somebody tap in. I'm going to do a few tap ins before I get ready for my Nick Cannon interview.